I love the positive vibes that are coming from the WoW community in general. It does feel like people are enjoying the game. WoW is back, man. WoW is back, and the War Within feels different. I couldn't agree more with Mercelian here. The last video we watched from him, a lot of people were complaining, oh, he's coming off as negative. Looks like he finally dropped a positive one here. It really is a good expansion so far. Let's see what Mercelian has to say.
We're talking about positive things here, and that is the current state of World of Warcraft. And how War Within is basically got us back to falling in love with this game. And it's weird because it's not about...
It's not just them. It's not just them. I know a bunch of players who came back for the first time since Shadowlands. Some of them didn't even buy Shadowlands. And they're back now, and they're like, damn, man, I forgot how much I love this game. Literally heard people talk about how much they forgot how much they enjoy WoW. They are glad to be back. They've actually been enjoying the expansion a lot. Some people are experiencing seasonal WoW for the first time since Legion. Some people left after Legion and they came back. And I've only heard positive things from everybody who's come back to the game.
Well, the season hasn't started yet. Usually we're getting excited because of the season, the new gear, the tier sets and all of that. But this time around, it felt like all-time World of Warcraft new expansion, just, you know, being happy to log in and do shit.
Well, they did take their sweet time in prolonging the off-season period, which some people may not agree with, but we will tell you why this is one of the best decisions they could have made. And
I loved it. I was very happy with the off-season being this long. And even that first week where the season kicked off with just Mythic Dungeons, but no Mythic Plus, you know, where it was like that pre-season window, the early access and everything that I did, I really enjoyed that time where there was like no racing, no feeling of being behind. I just read the quests, enjoyed the zones, enjoyed the music, and actually took the entirety of the expansion in for what it was to kick off. And then the season kicked off. Perfect timing. Just as I was feeling like, okay, I'm ready to do something else. It was, honestly, timing was chef's kiss, and I hope they do it this way every single time.
In no small part because, well, mostly I played the season 1 of the War Within, and I'm happy not playing the season 1 of the War Within just yet.
Okay, so yeah, obviously because of the nature of the content on this channel and stream, there was a lot of like beta stuff. So the guys and Arja as well, because she was there, I think, in almost all of the dungeons.
Oh yeah.
You know, a lot of beta testing, Mythic Plus, and all of that. But to be fair, like apart from a couple of bosses you did on the raid testing,
yeah, it's like 3 bosses or 4, I think.
Yeah, so there wasn't that much on that front. But in terms of like the Mythic Plus and all of that, it was
done it all, literally from 0 to hero.
Literally
from the affixes you've had in Dragonflight.
By the way, the raid testing they're talking about and everything, the raid's good. The raid's good. We just finished. We just cleared normal yesterday on stream. You know, everyone just joined up and did it. It was freaking great. It was great. I thought the boss mechanics were good. It didn't really get hard until the 7th boss, right? That the spider weave console, whatever the fuck they're called. That was the first time where it got hard, right? And it wasn't really difficult. It was just there were some mechanics that we need to figure out how to do, and once we did, we downed them. It was I thought the challenges were good, and the early bosses were a nice way to get in and get some early kills pretty easy. The difficulty overall is well balanced. I feel like the fights are pretty fun. So overall, I think it's a good raid. I think they did a good job with it.
To the affixes you're never gonna see ever again, to the affixes that you will see eventually, unless we did it.
Hopefully, you know, that will not paint or throw in a wrench in what has been at least 2 wonderful weeks of World of Warcraft. Now, what we saw in, you know, the comments on our videos and stuff, granted, we didn't really do an actual video regarding the state of WoW, but I think the general perception and reception of War Within is no short of amazing.
It is very positive for sure.
Yeah.
And we could probably draw a line after, let's say, season 1 kind of reaches its end to, you know, analyze the whole season 1 with the raid and the dungeons. But as it stands right now, playing the first couple of weeks of the expansion, leveling, doing all the stuff, we're gonna go into it, like our favorite parts and what has been done good and what has been still good. It's mostly positive.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, and I was watching a bunch of streams yesterday after I got home from work, and definitely season 1. I mean, it was a couple hours in, right? Server maintenance was extended a little bit, but from what I've seen, everybody who was running the different dungeons, I saw Robex running some, I saw Tally running some. Everybody seems to be enjoying the dungeons. I think Blizzard has found a perfect balance where Mythic Plus and raiding has reached that like plateau of, okay, it's hard, Maybe it requires some thought and skill, but it's not overly difficult to the point where you're going to be bashing your head into a wall, which is what a lot of this had become at some points during Shadowlands and things. So I think they found like it's really good. Overall, I think everything's well balanced. I think everyone's enjoying the dungeons right now. The dungeon pool that we have, the rotations are good, the boss fights are good, and team's knocking it out of the park.
One just teeny bit of criticism we can throw it at the end, maybe we'll see.
It's teeny because there's a lot of good, but
yeah, there's a lot of good. So I think like one major thing we can address starting with this point is the promise they made and how was that fulfilled. Because when they presented World Within at BlizzCon, they really tried to sell this whole part of, guys, we really want to tell a cool story first. And did they deliver on that? We don't know. Okay, so we don't know what's going.
So far, yes. Yes, they did. And that's why I like the whole delay to the season kickoff, was because it did give you a chance to take in the story they were telling. And so far, I will say, story, Zalateth, all the different side stories of the kobolds and the Hallowfall people, and everything, it's all good. It's all good. I've been enjoying it a lot. I think all the stories are pretty intriguing. A lot of depth to a lot of the stories, and I'm interested to know more. Like, I want to know what happens next. Like, when we killed Queen Ansarek yesterday, I wanted to see the cinematic. I wanted to know, okay, what happens next to this? She killed her mom. What's going to happen? Oh, Zalateth. I'm not going to give any spoilers, but damn. It was a really cool little ending there, and I'm excited to see what happens next again.
Going to happen, but the starting off point, like when we got into the War Within and started leveling, and then we got to the second week and so on and so forth, I think the start is basically a first part of what they would have been promising of delivering. So to give you a context, like me and Flame, we really wanted to care about the story of it, and care once again about the lore, right?
This was a great start to the story, man.
When we started to actually kind of drip off a little bit with the Alpha JPEG, that's when the signs were like, dude, what's going on?
No. Yeah, so we wanted to get back into that because we're super geeks on that front. Both of us have like tons of books and comics with like the old stories and stuff, and we wanted to get back in that.
Yep.
Now, granted, there's still a lot of things that could be done, but we're not going to focus on that right now. The thing is, I was given a context. It's been a very long time since I had the urge to log in back to WoW just to carry on doing some new stories.
He's actually chained to the table right now, so he doesn't rush home and then play
I just cannot wait to get back.
Yeah.
Because,
he's right. It's not just the stories, though. Like, the gameplay's a lot of fun. Yes, I wanted to log in and finish the stories, but you guys know I kept waiting until I was on stream because I didn't want to do anything off of stream. But other than that, this is the first time maybe since, I don't know, probably since Legion, where like I have an urge to log in every single night. Like, I just want to get on. You guys have seen me over the weekends playing and everything. Like, I stream, so much throughout the week that typically I wasn't logging on weekends anymore. But the last couple of weekends, after my kids go to bed, I'm like, oh shit, man, I got to get on here. I want to do some heroics. I want to run some delves. Like, I've been feeling it more and more, like that urge to get on. Yeah, I've seen you log on all the time now. Yeah, I do. Every time I get a chance now, I want to be in Azeroth. I want to be playing this game because it's been so enjoyable.
Play a lot on stream, obviously. Mokti plays all the goddamn time. I don't know when the fuck he sleeps and edits and stuff.
He sleeps?
Yeah.
We know he doesn't shower.
It's a weird thing because usually I get excited to like get back into WoW whenever there's like a new raid, new Mythic Plus dungeons and stuff.
You just want to quest.
And now I just want to, do more quests, do more stories, discover more stuff. I didn't have this in Dragonflight because people talk about a lot about the honeymoon period, which is a real thing. We're not going to throw that to the garbage.
True.
Every new expansion comes with the honeymoon period. I remember this was in Shadowlands, I remember in BFA, remember in the Dragonfly was like, oh my god, this expansion is so good, it's the best ever. That's the honeymoon period.
To be fair, to that point, all of the expansions that were kind of deemed bad, Warlords of Draenor, BFA, Shadowlands, actually had, if not an amazing, a really good starting period when it came to leveling through the zones and going through the story.
I don't disagree. I mean, I honestly, WoD, I remember enjoying WoD's opening campaign a lot. Like running away from the Iron Horde, if you remember, with Khadgar and everybody, as they're blasting their cannons off, and then you see them peek over the mountain, and then you get introduced to like the entire Iron Horde. I thought that was really cool. I enjoyed all of that stuff a lot. but there's something about the War Within that just feels like it's not just a cool campaign right now, and that's why we're enjoying it. It just feels like the foundation's really good. Now, yes, Delves have had their issues, right? Yeah, they're rebalancing that. It's completely new content, so it's going to take them a little bit of time to get it right. But overall, it just feels like this is the, I don't know, the enjoyability or the goodness of this expansion goes deeper than just the surface level of, oh, it's a new expansion, that's why I'm having fun.
The starting point.
That was probably still
3 days of no logging in, motherfucker.
No, I don't mean that. I mean the leveling and story experience.
Yeah, I know.
I was running away from
content from what is it, 100 to 110 or whatever it was.
Yeah.
That was actually really good. You know, the end game, the implementation of the systems later on. That's when, you know, some of the bad expansions kind of trailed off, and you know we know the history. But there are a lot of things that are going to make World Within great, and a lot of things that make it good now, and a lot of reasons why we actually enjoyed playing this time around, and what keeps us coming back.
It's weird because when you think of us, like, you know, judging it from the content that we do, it would appear that the most enjoyable thing for us is doing keys and progressing the raid.
It's actually,
you know,
not really. I mean, we love it, but
it was, yeah. And this was such a breath of fresh air, and I can imagine this was the story for a lot of folks, actually, because a lot of people went on to like play the game as Blizzard intended for the last couple of years, which is very seasonal, very okay. Once every couple of months, you get to do new things and compete. That was it. But there was not really a chill out, just, you know, being in awe with everything that's happening in the game, because it is a game at the end of the day, and it's a freaking shame that this universe, this whole big, humongous, map of things to go to, and you have all of this previous expansions that you had that sense of wonder, you had that sense of, oh my god, I cannot get back in to like start leveling an alt or discover this or do that. It's what they did now is basically added the soul back into WoW.
And like adding, making world content available to the vault, I think was a good move by them. And I also think this new cache system where, you know, you try to get at least 4 of them a week, because you can get your 4 coffer keys, and also you get 2 pieces of gear in the first 2. I think it's been a really good move on their part, because it has made me want to do world content more. Whereas before, like, it was always like, oh, you know, I'm not going to do world quests. I'm just going to skip that part of the game, because it does get old pretty quick. Now I feel actually motivated to do them. I feel like that's a good system that they put in place. And again, it all contributes to the vault now too, which is really good for the delves and everything else.
This beginning of the expansion, I didn't feel the soul in Dragonflight. I didn't feel the heart. I didn't feel the connection. Now, one thing, and there's a lot of things, but
sure,
this is
we can take them one at a time.
Yeah. For me, like the one thing that was very, very intriguing, and it was pure love from my end, was they actually went into the route. This is gonna sound a bit exaggerated, but hear me out. They went onto the route of The Witcher construction, in the sense that the side quests from The Witcher are potentially sometimes even more interesting than the actual story.
Yes.
Some of them. But regardless of all of the side quests, they're all kind of linked, and they all feel they're part of this bigger story, or at least what you're doing in the current context. Mm-hmm. This hasn't happened in Dragonflight. I didn't feel that in Dragonflight. So talking about honeymoon periods or whatever, again, I realize that is a thing, and we're probably living it as we speak. But one major difference between Dragonflight, I'm not even going to talk about Shadowlands and BFA. Okay, we will just forget about those, erase them. No, but just purely out of the fact that you went through the major campaign, and then, you know, as you do when you level up, you maybe pick up a random side quest or 2. That's what I did.
Yeah.
And once I got into it and started reading the text and seeing the little stories and characters, I was hooked. I was like, oh my god, I need to pick up more. This is really...
It's really cool. If there's any character that you actually like, start to like a lot from the main campaign, you start to pick up the side quests that they're offering, and you get much more in depth into their stories. You find out a lot more about them, and it still relates back to the main storyline, as a side quest should. He relates it to The Witcher because, yes, The Witcher, which I played, is very much famous for its side quests, right? Going and helping this guy who's getting beat up, or helping a farmer kill his wolves, like stuff like that. But they all add back to the main Witcher storyline, and that's what all these side quests do now. They're really good. They're really well written, and there's even some good lore plots that I've missed personally because I haven't done them all yet. but I want to go back and do them because the story is so interesting and I just want to know more about it.
Really cool.
Sam, you're
Let's actually talk about that because I think this is probably one of the biggest factors that pulled us in, and probably more people like it, is the questing and the comparison to Dragonflight. Because we talked about, I don't know if it was in a previous podcast or in a previous video, we talked about the leveling experience, and in Dragonflight, I actually felt like I was back into WoW, and it gave me that vanilla-like wanderlust feelings, like, oh my god. It's a whole brand new world
and stuff.
And it was really cool, and the first few zones definitely capitalized on that, but the side quests were not all there. So if we're gonna put them side by side, the War Within and Dragonflight, the War Within are essentially all side quests belong to a living world. Everything makes sense.
True.
All of the side quests are kind of like filler story to the main campaign. They actually go into why certain characters are motivated to do what they do. They actually go explore, like if the main campaign is like go defend that wall because the bad guy is attacking us, the side quests are like, well, who's the bad guy? Why is the bad guy's lieutenant destroying that part of the wall? Let's go save that. But there's a family there that just moved in. Why did they move in? Well, because we came into the zone because of the bad guy. So all of this is not like just collect 15 wools from sheep.
I mean, you have that as well, but
but I meant it's not disconnected from the story.
Yeah, there is that, of course, but there is a reason you're collecting the 15 wolves. It makes sense to the main storyline, right? Like, oh, there's a torch that needs to be lit, so we got to clear out the wolves around it because if we don't light the torch, then the Nerubians can get closer to the wall from the left side. Like all that stuff, yes, makes sense. There's all reason behind it connected to the main storyline.
Right?
For sure.
It's all woven and it's actually a part. Like what I like to say is that the majority, like 90% of the quests were probably just, this is the story of the War Within. Okay, what's the main campaign? So they choose kind of like the thick thread line of that. And then it's like, okay, then all of this that can still be main campaign, we're just gonna, designated as side quests. So that made it feel like the world actually is alive, like things matter, like little villages matter, the delves matter because going into the waterway,
they're connected to quests as well.
They like you're not forced to do the delves, but as you do the quest, you're like, oh, to enable this thing so we can get those golems to fight Xalatath that you actually use in the fight with Xalatath.
Yes.
Yeah, I even thought it was. He's talking about how he used the golems in the fight with Xalatath. Yeah. There's another really cool moment where one of the bosses right now from the Hallowfall, the Dawnbreaker dungeon, it's awesome because you actually deplete his health in the dungeon, and then when you see him in the raid, I think he starts at like 60% health, right? Like he starts at the health that you left him at in the dungeon, which is really cool. I love that part of like where like you doing the dungeon had an effect on the main storyline in the game. I thought that was such a cool little like detail. Remember when we got to him, guys, I was like, whoa. He's starting with like minus 30 health. Is this because we fought him on the Dawnbreaker? I think it was really, really cool. I thought that was an awesome thing. Yeah, he was injured. Exactly. Which to me just adds like that level of like what you're doing in the game really, really matters. It's not just like Khadgar is doing everything and Jaina's doing everything and we're just kind of following along. No, like we are playing a pivotal role in the story and it feels really cool. Dragonflight wasn't bad. It didn't have anything crazy. Dragonflight was a Foundation expansion. That's what I'll leave it at. The story was okay. It was, but the main thing was it laid a lot of the foundational systems that are making the War Within good right now. The dragon riding and the new tiers, the new spec systems and all that stuff. Those were important, and they're helping the War Within be as good as it is right now.
So it all comes around in circles. So it definitely, like you said, in The Witcher, it feels like it's I want to say it actually goes above and beyond Witcher, where it builds to the main story. Like I'm just talking about I don't know if it's the latest chapter, but the one when you go in Ringing Deeps and you do the golem stuff.
Yep.
And then the wars, the Nerubians start attacking the wall for the Arathi, and you use those golems to defend, and that's a main campaign. But that one wasn't the main campaign.
Exactly. Yeah.
So that it all comes to build. There's all purpose. It's not just like, oh, what do we do? Well, I guess there's some quests that the devs just put in so that we don't get bored. It doesn't feel like that, and Dragonflight definitely had that.
Yeah, I like it when things like that contribute to like main raids and dungeons. The last time we saw it, I felt like was BFA if you remember when you were on the Alliance, you planted the bombs on the ship, which kicked off the Battle for Dazar'alor raid. So it's pretty cool that when you did that quest line, you got to see like, oh, the bombs I planted were used to start the raid for Battle for Dazar'alor, which is actually one of my favorite raids that they put in the game in quite a long time. And I thought that was cool. And they're continuing that kind of stuff in the War Within.
The side stories that were good in Dragonflight, they were like kind of disconnected from the main story in a way. You didn't really have to do them. Like Bane going on a rampage in Honoran Plains didn't really help us defend the Primalists or defeat the Primalists or stop Iridikar in any way. No, it was just Bane's friend just happened to unfortunately get killed by centaurs. Spoiler! And then you went on a revenge/investigating spree. So that's why it keeps us like, because it actually feels like, oh, I wonder what they're gonna do next. Why is that person there?
That's the reason why I, get up in the morning and instead of coming to the office, I'm like, maybe I can log in a little bit to WoW, because what else
That's
is
such a
there?
high school experience for me. It's like that's the only time I was like,
true.
I got to do, but might have play a
When
little
is
bit.
the last time we got a chance to have this feeling? And honestly,
Yeah, like I sometimes I want work meetings to wrap up. I'm like, oh man, if I can get in right now and just really quickly run this dungeon or do the yes, that is a high school feeling. It totally is. The urge to log in is there right now, big
I feel
time.
like most of the player base, like that are similar to us, like really was thirsty for something like this.
Priestess said something that really made it feel sense. Like we're so used to like skipping everything, like playing the next thing, and I feel like a lot of people still do that. And
It's a
now
shame.
the game doesn't tell you that you're actually missing out on a lot. For now, it made sense because it was just like fluff content. The writing of the story wasn't that great where you felt like you wanted to read, but now you're actually doing yourself a disservice.
Yeah, I agree with everything they said here. It feels really good. I want to constantly be in the game, and that's for a multitude of reasons. Really good dungeon design, raid design, story design, zone design, music. All of it is coming together to make the War Within, which is so far a really good expansion.